Ever wonder how an actress went from begging her parents for a 5-year plan to becoming one of Hollywood's most powerful new faces? This is the story of Sydney Sweeney, the woman who proved that ambition, when mixed with talent and smarts, can be a dangerous combination. Sydney Sweeney wasn't born into a Hollywood dynasty. She grew up in a small town near the Idaho-Washington border, far from the flashing lights of Los Angeles. Her dad was a healthcare professional, and her mom was a lawyer. Life was pretty normal, but Sydney had a dream, a big one. When a small independent movie came to film near her town, she auditioned and caught the acting bug. She was just 12 years old, but she knew what she wanted. So, what do you do when you are a kid with a massive dream and your parents are practical people? You create a business plan. Seriously, Sydney put together a whole PowerPoint presentation for her parents, outlining a 5-year plan for how she would succeed as an actress if they moved to LA. She mapped out every step, every goal, every possibility. It was so detailed and professional that her parents, though hesitant, couldn't say no. They agreed to give her a shot. The family packed up and moved to Los Angeles. But Hollywood isn't a fairy tale. It was a tough road. The family faced financial struggles, moving from one tiny apartment to another. There were times they all had to share a single hotel room. Sydney talks about how difficult this period was, watching her parents sacrifice so much for her dream. The pressure was immense. She wasn't just auditioning for herself. She felt like she was auditioning for her family's future. She started getting small roles, the kind you'd miss if you blinked. A guest spot on Criminal Minds, a one-off appearance in Grey's Anatomy, a small part in 90210. For years, she was just another face in the crowd, working hard but not quite breaking through. She was constantly told she didn't have the right look or that she wouldn't make it big. But Sydney kept pushing, using every rejection as fuel. She studied, she networked, and she never, ever forgot that 5-year plan. She was determined to prove everyone wrong. And then, things started to shift. Her first noticeable role came in the Netflix series Everything Sucks, a quirky show set in the 90s. It was a cult hit, and people started to notice the girl with the expressive eyes. Then came a role in The Handmaid's Tale, playing the pious and complex child bride Eden Spencer. She showed a depth and maturity that made critics sit up and take notice. This wasn't just another teen actress. This was someone with serious talent. But the real explosion happened with HBO. First, Sharp Objects, where she held her own alongside the incredible Amy Adams. And then, the role that changed everything, Cassie Howard in Euphoria. As Cassie, the beautiful, vulnerable, and deeply insecure high schooler, Sydney became a global phenomenon. Her performance was raw, emotional, and unforgettable. Suddenly, everyone was talking about Sydney Sweeney. The internet was flooded with memes of her character, and her name was on every want-to-watch list. She didn't stop there. While Euphoria was taking over pop culture, she also starred in the first season of The White Lotus as the sharp-tongued and cynical college student, Olivia Mossbaker, playing two completely different, complex characters on two of the biggest shows at the same time was a masterstroke. She received Emmy nominations for both roles in the same year, a rare feat that cemented her status as a serious dramatic actress. She wasn't just a pretty face. She was a powerhouse performer. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. Sydney isn't just letting her agents and managers call the shots. Remember that girl who made a business plan at 12? She's still here. Seeing the inner workings of Hollywood, she realized she wanted more control over her own career and the story she told. So, in 2020, she started her own production company, 50/50 Films. Think about that for a second. While starring in two of the most demanding shows on television, she was also building a business from the ground up. Her goal was to find and develop projects for herself and other emerging talents, especially stories centered on women. This wasn't just a vanity project. It was a calculated business move. She was reading books, scouting scripts, and taking meetings, all while delivering emotionally draining performances on set. Her company's first big project was the romantic comedy Anyone But You. Not only did she star in it, but she was an executive producer. She was involved in everything, from casting to marketing. The movie was a massive box office success, proving that Sydney wasn't just a bankable star, but a savvy producer too. She understood her audience and knew how to create content they wanted to see. She followed that up with the horror film Immaculate, another project she produced and starred in. She had actually auditioned for it a decade earlier and didn't get it, but she never forgot the script. Years later, With her newfound power in the industry, she bought the rights and made the film herself. That's ambition. This drive has obviously paid off. So, what is Sydney Sweeney's net worth? As of early 2024, estimates place her net worth around $10 million. And with her career trajectory, that number is set to skyrocket. For Euphoria, she was reportedly earning around $350,000 per episode for the second season. Her movie deals, brand endorsements with companies like MIU and Laneage, and the success of her production company all contribute to her growing wealth. She's not just making an actor's salary, she's building an empire. But Sydney's story isn't just about fame and money. It's about relentless work ethic. She's famous for her meticulous preparation. For each character, she creates these incredibly detailed journals, writing the character's entire life story from birth to the first page of the script. It's a process she developed on her own, a way to fully embody the person she's playing. It's this level of dedication that brings such authenticity to her roles. Beyond acting, she has a surprising hobby. She restores vintage cars. She has a TikTok account where she documents herself fixing up her beloved Ford Bronco. It's a way for her to disconnect from the chaos of Hollywood and use her hands, proving she's more than just a glamorous star. She's also trained in MMA and competed in grappling when she was a teenager. This combination of grit, glamour, brains, and brawn is what makes her so unique. Sydney Sweeney has redefined what it means to be a young star in Hollywood. She's not waiting for permission. She's not waiting for the perfect role to fall into her lap. She's creating her own opportunities. She used her platform not just to build a personal brand, but to build a business. She turned the dumb blonde stereotype on its head, proving that you can be celebrated for your looks and respected for your intellect and business acumen at the same time. Her journey is a lesson in ambition. It shows that with a clear vision, an insane work ethic, and a refusal to take no for an answer, you can turn a childhood dream into a multi-million-dollar reality. She played the Hollywood game, learned the rules, and then started writing her own. From that little girl with a PowerPoint presentation to a producer and a mogul in the making, Sydney Sweeney's story is far from over. She's not just a product of Hollywood. She's actively shaping its future. The most dangerous thing about her ambition, it seems to have no limits. Thanks for watching. If you're as fascinated by ambitious people as we are, check out our next video on the rise of another industry game changer. You won't want to miss it.